Nice to be back with you. You are watching Richard Keys and
Andy Gray.
This is Keys and Gray Uncut. For those of you who may just have joined up, we are here daily at this same time on Andy's balcony.
Lovely view.
Could be worse.
Could be worse.
As I have often said at the start of each and every programme we've done, socially distancing, no COVID-19 directives in Qatar have been in any way compromised by what we're doing here. Same four guys, and hopefully we'll continue to do this as long as we have to. And shorter time, agreed. The shorter time, that is the better. Newspapers, Andy.
Have you got headlines today?
Yes.
How are you feeling with headlines? Are you running short?
No.
Are they getting fewer and fewer?
They are fewer and fewer, but if you look, you'll find something interesting.
Right, go on.
Here is some good news, perhaps. The Premier League will hold talks over whether to continue implementing VAR as doubts emerge over its viability after the coronavirus suspension. What they're saying is, until we're absolutely certain, it would be wrong to put so many people so close in the Stockley Park bunker.
One hadn't thought of that.
So it is possible that we have to resume at some point. But this is the interesting point, tucked away in the article. Mark Clattenburg,
Yes.
discussing this, says you couldn't restart the season without VAR because that would distort the competition. And I thought about that. You mean a little bit like the FA Cup?
Yeah. That's exactly what I had in mind. Unlucky Mark.
Really,
but that's how the FA Cup's run at the moment.
You can
Some have it, some don't.
Could you really? There is a row raging, and I don't know whether it started here, but it is something. I refer back to what we discussed Monday, I think, of this week, about the finance in the game now. Those clubs, Andy, that are furloughing staff. And initially, I thought they were talking about Darren Farley.
Yeah, me too. I was unsure what following meant. I had to look it up.
Baby, you're out of time. Julian Knight, chair of the Digital Culture and Media Sports Select Committee, said yesterday clubs such as Tottenham, Newcastle and now Norwich, as we know, in pursuing up to $2,500 a month of public money for each non-playing member of staff, had lost sight of the real world. Something we talked about again.
No, I'm not comfortable with that.
Nice piece here in the Mail with Stephen Taylor, the former Newcastle centre-back. He's now playing his football in New Zealand, but in recalling his time at Newcastle, made his debut under Graham Souness.
Wow.
How Souness is this, I thought, from the middle of this article. I made my home debut against Everton. I was up against Kevin Kilban and Souness said to me,
Snap him.
"If you don't lay one on him early on, I'll drag you off."
That's right. Well, I shortened it. Snap him.
Daily Mirror reporting that the Germans want Jurgen Klopp to take charge of their national team, and the longer this break goes, and the more likely it is that we don't finish, it might inspire Jurgen to start thinking elsewhere.
You think he'll leave Liverpool in the next 18 months?
I don't. I am reporting what the Daily Mirror are saying.
No, but you've always said you think coaches will only stay a certain time now and go.
I think he's not far from calling it a day.
You think Guardiola will go?
I think there's a burnout these days.
You still think Guardiola's going?
Yes.
What about this rest?
Maybe not.
What about this rest now?
Maybe not, but I still think Guardiola's looking for out. Yes, Juve. This is interesting, a serious one here. Sheffield United have put all contract talks on hold. All those players who are in deals that are running down right now, until they know more about how the future will unfold, they're not talking to anybody about new deals.
Why though?
Well, because you don't know what you're committing to, do you?
Well,
football's in meltdown. I said here the other day that the bubble, Andy, has burst.
No, but so what you're saying is, they're not agreeing contracts because they don't want to commit financially.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, the finances are not going to change for what?
Well, we don't know, do we?
But the broadcasters are committed to what, till 2022?
We don't know. If they don't get their league season completed, that's £780 million, is it, that the Premier League owe them for this year? That's just the domestic broadcasters. As Sean Dyche reveals, he's doing a lot of jet washing and eating of curry, apparently.
Oh no,
yes.
He'll be bigger, Sean, when he comes back.
There is the story that we've just been discussing from the Daily Mirror today. It's all going telly up. This is John Cross. Football's house of cards is in danger of collapsing as TV deals in Europe fall apart, leaving the Premier League desperate to fulfil their £750 million obligation. I thought about that further. Do you think anybody in Spain and Italy is concerned about the discomfort that the Premier League clubs are currently feeling?
Not a jot. They have a massive problem those two countries in particular, Italy and Spain, controlling this horrendous virus that's sweeping the world. And their sole focus is in one thing, trying to keep as many of their nationals and visitors who are there as healthy as possible. Not, are we going to save some money here or are we going to save some money there?
No, but I think that they might. Yes, I concur, but having gone beyond that, they're probably thinking to themselves, got them. This will change life in England.
Yeah, might do.
There are 3 leagues playing in the world right now. That's all. Just let me share with you, Andy, and then elsewhere. Here we are, pictures of players in Nicaragua taken to the field yesterday. Each and every one of them
with a mask on.
In a face mask.
Okay then. I mean,
the only other 2 leagues playing at the moment are in Belarus and Burundi. And I would suggest, guys, if you're listening to us, don't.
Yeah, stop.
Yeah. Our very special guest today is someone who has football's movers and shakers on speed dial in his phone. So
yes. I think a potential UEFA top man, if he wants it.
Yes.
If he wants it.
I wouldn't disagree with that, Andy.
He knows everybody.
Yeah. So he will know what's happening.
Yes.
Perhaps a little more than most. Live from his, looks like a lounge. I thought it might be a kitchen this morning, but live from his lounge in Amsterdam is the beast.
Yes.
That is Ruud Gullit. And I say that word with a purpose because I'm going to come back to an explanation about it. Rudy, how are you?
I'm okay under the circumstances. Of course, not traveling to Qatar disturbs me because, you know, I'm always coming, then I play golf with you, then whip your...
Oh yeah, in your dreams. In your dreams.
I already bought some Johnson & Johnson.
Rudy, on a serious note, are you hearing anything more than we are about when we might, if at all, be able to complete these domestic football seasons?
I was listening to you. For the English Premier League, that's a huge problem, and you earned so much money with all the TV rights and things and TV things that now clubs spending more money than they normally had. We don't have that problem in Holland. We have a problem, of course, but the big clubs are coming together, and I think they only need something like 8 million to help the rest. And not talking about the salaries, I think. We're talking about the people that work at the clubs and things like that. For the coffee, who cleans, people in the administration, all these people, and we're talking about something like 8 million to help everybody. And that are the big clubs who are doing that. So that's a good thing. Overmars today had an interview on the television. Says just stop the whole competition. Why continue playing? There's a couple of things that is a little bit it's not odd, but if we have to stop, then the competition of last year's is the one who stands, from last year. Mm-hmm. And who was first? Ajax. That's a coincidence that he says so. On the other hand, people thinking about when it has to. If we can't continue, then how it stands of now would be more realistic than the end of last year. I think that clubs will agree to that. Then still Ajax is champion, but then AZ Alkmaar, who had an unbelievable season, will go in Champions League. That would be nice. We're talking about lives here. We're talking about a virus here. People are a little bit doubtful why we have to talk about football. But in a time like this, when people have difficulties, you still need to have a certain distraction. People need that. So therefore, it's a little bit double to talk about it. It doesn't feel right. But on the other hand, people are so annoyed now in the houses that they want something new to see, because we see old matches over and over again, and you get bored with it. So even in desperate times, people need to have a certain distraction.
Rudy, where would you stand? There's a lot of press going around now about players morally. They should step up. I'm talking about Premier League. I'm not talking about lower leagues. I'm talking about Premier League. That morally they have an obligation to step up, maybe to take not a deferral of wages, but a reduction of wages to help keep the others in the club employed. Would you be happy if you were a player now to take a 20% cut in your salary to help others or not?
Are you talking only about the big players?
I'm talking Premier League,
the
Ruud.
smaller players, they don't earn a lot of money here in Holland. So therefore, if it brings the club in jeopardy, then we all should help. If you are a player, if there is no other solution, if your club get bankrupt because of that, what should you do?
Yeah.
So therefore, that's something that you have to look inside you. If you have to do that, and if the club comes in difficulty because of your salary or other salaries in your club, then you have to do something.
Rudy, you talk about we're tired of watching old games. I would make the distinction that, and let me explain myself now. Through my formative years, we didn't see much of the Italian league, the Spanish league, domestically in the UK. So for me, it's been an absolute pleasure to lock into that period of time in which you played with Rijkaard and Van Basten and in Milan. And now I knew, I don't wish to, well, just for a minute, don't listen. He was magnificent as a player. I knew that because I've seen small clips of his career.
I knew it because he was World Footballer of the Year twice.
That's what I knew. What I hadn't seen was him playing in that black and white, in the amount that I have recently. And I use the word beast.
Black and white.
Seriously,
Not black and white, red and black.
Red and white. Red.
I'm not that old.
Red and black.
What a beast of a man. You terrorized people, Ruud. Was your height, your size, your greatest advantage in that era?
The thing was, I was not very, very good in small areas. So my strides, were so huge. And so therefore, I need to learn how to use my speed and my strides in my advantage. So I learned how to use my technique in speed. And that is very, very difficult because you don't have a lot of space nowadays, and especially not in the Italian league. So you need to create your own space, and how to do that. That's something that you have to learn and teach yourself. And in those days, the best players played in Italy. You were only allowed to have 3 foreigners.
Yeah.
And the 3 best foreigners of the world played all in Italy. Plus the Italians were also very, very, very good. So the league itself was the best of the best. And when I had the opportunity to go to Italy, that was an opportunity I couldn't refuse.
So you're saying you didn't have pace, but your speed was here,
No,
and
I
you
had
created
pace.
that
Oh, yeah.
space
He was quick, huh?
with quick thinking.
Yeah, I was very quick. I could accelerate and accelerate again, but you need to have control over that, over your speed. So you need to adapt your technique with your speed and still be in control, because otherwise you have to open the gates and I would be running out of the stadium all the time.
Yeah.
So you need to control that. And speed and technique is a very important issue. You have a lot of players who have speed, but they can't control the ball. If you have a good example who had a lot of speed and could still control, was Henry, Ronaldo.
Yeah.
From the Ronaldo from the areas of PSV Eindhoven, later on Barcelona. That one had enormous speed and had control, and that is a difficult combination, very difficult.
Rudy, how much of you was self-taught? How much did you do on your own? And how much did you learn from, who was your coach? Was it Saki?
Yes, but before I
How
came
much did you learn from them?
I did that all before I came to Italy. The most important thing that for me, tactically, I learned a lot from Johan Cruyff,
Right.
because I played with him when he was at Feyenoord. I had the opportunity to play with one of the greatest footballers ever, to learn how to move tactically and how to anticipate in certain circumstances. And for me, that was very important. And also, he prepared me also for the fact what it is if you might become a world player. All the negative parts of being a world player means that if you become a good player, the fans don't want you to go. If you still make that decision, then the world will go over you. They will try to destroy you. They will hate you. The newspapers and things like that. So be prepared for that. If you make your own decisions as a good player, you're going to have a difficult time. So be prepared for that. He did that. Then the other thing was, I am a defender. I was my first debut. I was a sweeper. So therefore, when the year after came a new coach, he wanted to put me up front. So I had to learn myself how to do that, but the advantage that I had was that I knew exactly what a defender will think. So I needed to be outsmart the defender, anticipate on his thoughts, and adapt myself technically, because I was not very good in the small areas.
Yeah.
So I needed to taught myself how to deal with all these spaces.
So, can I,
Yes.
we talk about, we didn't see a lot, Ruud, of Italian football, saw bits of it, and there's probably a generation that's seen you on television, but to bring them up to date, Ruud Gullit in the modern game would be, who would the youngsters of today look at and you would say, well, I was a bit like him? I'm guessing you weren't an Alan Shearer. I'm guessing you were more an Henry. Would that be fair?
In pace, yes, and looking at how to deal with the spaces, and how to do that with space, and how to do it with pace, technique, and everything. But he was more of a goal scorer. He was better as a goal scorer than me. I had to teach myself how to score goals, and that was not easy, because in the beginning I was just hitting the ball as hard as I could. And after a while, when you get older, you think to yourself, you don't need to. You can just place it with the inside into the corners, and that is something that you have to teach yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember still when I went from Milan after that to Sampdoria, I was every training after the normal training, I was always with Eriksson and with some other people, getting balls into the box,
Eriksson.
how to handle the ball, how to deal with it, how to hit the ball, how to get out of marking. So when somebody marks you, how to get out of that. I was still doing that, and I already won the Ballon d'Or after that, before that, and I was still teaching myself how to deal with circumstances as a striker.
So many aspects of that time in your career, Rudy, I'd love to talk about, but have to bring it on. Ruud Gullit was the first big name for me to arrive in the Premier League, and I went, wow, wow. I've been fortunate enough to spend a day in Milan with Rudy, and it's like
I was there.
The nearest thing I can give you in terms of a description is it must have been like welcoming the Beatles back after they'd been to America. It was extraordinary, wasn't it? Everywhere you went. So when you came to London and signed to play for Chelsea, how much did you need that, Ruud, to get away from that claustrophobic atmosphere in which you lived?
Oh, that's, London is my happy place till now. I played for 8 years in Italy, and it was wonderful years. It was the best as a football can have, but privately and as your privacy at all, I didn't have that, because wherever I went, people wanted something, people were chasing you, and the Italians are very honest with the admiration. They come to you. And they don't, they just take your face. Hey, Rudy, how you doing? Here, the whole family comes. Everybody wants to get in. So it's an invasion in your privacy. And after 8 years of wonderful Italy, I said, look, I want my privacy back. And I remember when I went to London in the beginning, I was sat in a hotel near the training ground of Chelsea, Arlington training ground near the airport. I had nothing to do, but I was training every day. It was easy. I had to also adapt myself how to drive on the wrong way. That was not easy also. So therefore, after 2 weeks, I went for the first time with a car. I went to King's Road,
Yeah.
and I remember I parked the car there, and then I was used always when I was on the streets to feel like a prey. I was always like aware of what was going on in my. So in Italy, when you walk, people are screaming, "Ah, Gullit, 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 Gullit." And then eventually, it's a crowd. So I went to King's Road with the same attitude, and after 15 minutes, nobody was following me. And I said, "Oh, that's good. That's 50. I could let it go." Nobody was following me. Nobody was looking at me. I remember I saw somewhere a terrace, and I sat for 2 hours sitting on a terrace watching for the first time other people.
Nice.
And you can't imagine how much of a freedom, how much of a relief that was, because freedom, it's a privilege. And if you have that, therefore, if I see people nowadays that wants to become famous and they say, "I want to be famous," they have no clue what they're talking about, because it's a huge invasion in your privacy, and you can't handle it. It's a difficult thing. They have no clue what they're talking about. And when I gave that up, later on also, when in the year 2000, when I cut my hair, it was an enormous relief to be not on top of the mountain anymore, because it is nice to be on top of the mountain, but it means that you have to give in your own privacy, and to be, swallowed by the crowd again was for me the best feeling that I've ever had.
So the backstory is fascinating, and there's no time to go into it. But tucked at Chelsea, no question about that, and it didn't work out at Newcastle as you would have wanted. If there was one thing that you could have done or tried to do in order that you could deliver the Shekshi football, what would it have been?
What have it been? I did it with Chelsea, and I tried to do it with other clubs as well. But sometimes it is not the right time. Sometimes it's not the right mixture of people. And therefore, if it's not the right time, then you have to say bye-bye.
Did you have the wrong players?
No, it was just the right time, not the right time. And for that reason, I just said, okay, if it doesn't work, and then. But the funny thing is that with Newcastle, it still isn't.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
I'm the last coach who brought them to the FA Cup final to win something. The last coach. That's how long ago?
That's a long time ago, Rudy. That's a long time ago.
Imagine.
Too long for Newcastle fans. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Newcastle's wonderful. It was wonderful there. People were nice. The people are genuine. They just want to have something to to be happy about. To be proud of. That's the only thing they want. And they were helpful, and it was wonderful. I had a great time with Kenny Shepherd. He was wonderful, and I had a good time. And on the moment that I said to him, "Look, this is not the right time, not the right moment, and I think it's better to separate." And I said, "I don't want the money. I don't need them. It's not about the money and everything. So leave that." And we said, and they said, no, think about it, please. We don't make this decision now. And I said, okay. But I made the decision. So after the day, I still said no. And it was not the right time.
That must be unique.
Yeah.
I'm going, and I don't need the money. Or not that I don't need. That sounds arrogant.
Yeah.
I don't want.
I don't
for them
want
also.
the money.
I don't want the money.
I kept in contact with the family for a long time also after that. And that's why I said, Newcastle is, if there is an ingredient, if there is a possibility for something there to do, it could be there. But it is not easy.
Why,
It's
Ruud?
not easy.
Why is it not easy?
They're still suffering.
Have
They're
you a
still
theory,
suffering.
having been in Newcastle, have you a thought about it? You've had a lot of years to think about it, and you've seen other managers after you go in there and not be able to put it all together. Is there a reason? Do you think there's a reason?
Yeah, there is a reason, of course, but I don't think that it is I think you have to talk about this in private with the clubs itself.
Yeah.
If they want to talk about it, I will talk about it with them, but I will not talk about it.
You can see his mind working. These two are supposed to be my friends.
About it. But it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult. But I still watch them. I still how you say that? I still follow them.
Yes.
And I said, look, every time they say, yeah, but you did this, you did this, you did that, you didn't do that. I said, yes, I know. But how long ago was it that a coach brought you to the event that you could win something?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then they stop talking. They say, oh, was you? Yes, it was me. Yeah. Thank you very much. So I gave you the opportunities. I know how to do it.
Rudy, thank you for allowing us to invade your privacy this morning.
No, well, I've got one more question.
You've absolutely no time.
No, I just wondered when he's going to sort his golf handicap out and play off a proper handicap.
That one day I could almost play with Andy Gray in one team. Did you know that?
In fairness to Rudy, his handicap never changes, unlike Graham Souness's. His is dependent on what sort of night he's had.
Yeah.
Because I have an official handicap.
No, you don't.
I will bring my card.
Please do.
8.6. 8.6. Sorry.
Rudy,
you
thanks for
cannot
your
show
time.
me your handicap. You can't show me that. You don't have
This is an argument that's raised for too long. Right, enough. We've got to go. Rudy, thank you. It's been great to spend time with the legendary Ruud Gullit. Come back and see us soon. They said, what are you going to talk about for 30 minutes every? He's still going.
He's still going.
What are you going to talk about for 30 minutes every day? I said,
just phone Ruud
no
Gullit.
idea.
That's what I said.
Rudy, thanks. See you back here
Thanks,
tomorrow.
Rudy.
Stay at a distance. Stay safe wherever in the world you are.
Stay safe.